Hello everyone, so it's good to be back after so long. Just getting the here we are, new video. Let's get it on. And yeah, obviously lots been happening this year, and we're seeing a rise in chaos, confusion, survival, and being at the whim of this sort of militant sort of narrative that's really sort of coming in unconsciously. And people are starting to feel it in their emotional bodies, especially the solar plexus and base chakras, and it's been quite intense. And what's happening now is that frequency is trying to find a way out, and it's taking time because when we get into this place of understanding why we're here, and not so much what the narrative is. That's what's being asked for by us, our souls, at this time. And it's a frequency that's taking its time to move through human collective consciousness, because we're so bogged down with misinformation. And it's this frequency this year is so many unknowns. There's a lot of things happening. This time is a time where spirit even don't know what's going to happen in some ways. Obviously they're creating they're pushing the narrative in a positive way, because that's the divine intention, and because obviously the planet is evolving, it's shifting its consciousness, so obviously we live on the planet, so we move with the planet. But because it's a time of upheaval that's not been on this planet before, not in this way. There's been plenty of upheavals, obviously, but this is a different type of frequency, and this is how it's been explained to me by spirit. So what's happening now is everything has to be directed inward to change the narrative. And we're still looking outwards for change, but it has to change within. So this is at the deepest level of our beings. We're talking about cellular, subcellular level, DNA frequency. That is where the change occurs. And just getting people into that conversation is very, very hard, because of the conditioning. And what we're trying to take people is not so much a journey of ascension, because we need to get away from this ascension, and I've talked about that before, but we have to become conscious human beings within ourselves first. And many people are speaking about this in different forms, different ways. But what we're missing is the point that, until you, from a healing perspective, until you clear your emotional body, your belief system's not going to change. And people have been looking at it more from the mind and the mental body. But unfortunately, the reason why there's so much mental illness at the moment is because the emotional body has been so shut down that energy has to manifest somewhere else. So of course it goes into the mental body. But at the end of the day, it's coming from misunderstanding our experiences, our emotional trauma. And obviously you don't have an emotion without a belief. They go hand in hand. But I'm seeing an augmented experience around people that's, I suppose it's this sort of torrent of ancestral energy really trying to push itself through this present moment with us, the human self. And of course that's causing a lot of problems, and people don't realize that that's actually going on behind the scenes. That voice in the head is a lot of times it's the ancestral voice. It's that negative voice, because that bloodline has been carrying that frequency for so long, for generations and generations and generations. And finally, the earth is shifting, and the awakening period is here. So of course, all of this energy is trying to push through this point, and it's becoming overwhelming. And of course, how we navigate through our health is so important. But we have to start at the basics. You can't look at health through the physical manifestation of it. You always have to look from the root cause. And like we said, there's a mental, emotional, or host, but misunderstanding the issue in the first place, and why you've got sick or ill. And we're going to see a rise in that, unfortunately, because the soul is trying to awaken its human self up. And sometimes, the only way to do that is to sort of shift their life in a 180, and make them sort of listen and come into that place of being humble with who they are, why they're here, and just finding resonance with that in that space. So really, you know, just getting people informed of the truth is one of the hardest things at the moment, and just getting them to just sort of look at a different narrative, a way of thinking. It's very, very hard because the energy on the planet is very chaotic at the moment. So really it's just about being still, and the message I'm about to read off sort of talks about this as well, and how we sort of take time to just sit and be. And this is, you know, this is not about sort of meditating out in the field or just being, you know, all over the place doing loads of, you know, yoga courses and all the rest of it. This is about just sitting with yourself, just for 5 minutes a day, and just finding that space through the breath work, because the breath work is going to help you. Firstly, it's going to quiet down the mental and emotional body so you can have a more intuitive psychic experience with yourself. But you really need to start talking to your soul and just invoking it, because actually, you know, your soul is all around you and it needs to be felt and experienced. We can't be running from the narrative of the mind anymore, or the conditioned state of human being that we've become through this sort of rigidity that we've been living in. So, you know, obviously a lot of things are changing. And I'm going to talk a bit more about the sort of current stuff going on probably in the next video. I thought this was going to come through on this channel today, but it's completely something different. So that's often what happens. So I'll read the message off now anyway. Okay, where are we? So I put it just as navigating second half of 2023. So a whisper of movement deep in the unconscious is traveling through the depths of humanity's subconscious, echoing a restructure of the framework that holds this experience in play. The underdeveloped emotional expression is creating a disturbance in the biofield of many human beings who are walking around with no real direction. There was an emerging crater in the South Pacific in 2021, and it's connected to the tectonic plates, and it's currently creating a vortex that is directly connecting in with Neptune. It symbolizes the reawakening of the water civilizations that dominated the planet over a millennia and more. The crisis of Atlantis is an infant civilization compared to the ancient expressions, and it's the release of the destruction in the later aspects of Atlantean civilizations that are now opening the trauma that buried itself deep in the seabeds of the oceanic quadrant it was housed. There are many trapped souls from the fires of Atlantis now wishing to move on in this here and now moment. Human beings must look inwards through the flames if they are to be in alignment with their shadow selves. Right now, these feelings are emerging in many awakened souls. It's the energy of the devastation being felt in Atlantis that is creating all kinds of physical, mental, and emotional reactions. People are still holding on to the idea of separatism because this idea was the base of the destructive tendencies towards one another in the Atlantean era. If you go into meditation with the intention to remember this, you will have third eye visions of the ancient structures, and you will feel the pull to be separate from one another. You must acknowledge the oscillation and observe this separation from a neutral standpoint with the intention to align polarity. The Earth Mother is much stronger now. She has awakened her galactic memory and is more in resonance with the Sun, who has been assisting her to release her trauma. Her vibration is becoming lighter, and you will feel a grounding of this expression by 2026. She is currently in alignment with the planet Mercury, birthing a new frequency of thought patterns that are more aligned to universal culture than 3D rigidity. And as the Earth raises her awareness off planet, so will human collective consciousness. The ancient water beings are reaching out to the awakened human being to establish a symmetry of many light beings within the human being into the water temples, where the human potential lies dormant. Once this is established, and it is your free will to assist and ask for it, you will sense a rainbow-coloured auric field or Merkaba. It's within these colours, or these colour codes, that allows the full expression of divine consciousness to invoke the ancient memory. There is a light, a most beautiful light, that the earth used to shine from her core in the ancient days. It would shine out through the oceans, and you could witness the sky in many colours and forms. It was actually this light that attracted many off-world visitors. There is a submerged 13-step pyramid in the southeast near Jakarta, and one in the North Pole. They have awakened as the full feminine expression is birthed back on the planet. Some will see pink in the waters, the air, and sky. This is the sign of the rebirth. People are waiting for something to happen, and this year it is being sold to humanity in this manner. Everything will be sold as it is to come. This is a deliberate technique to pull you out of the moment. Everything they sell to you as a narrative can be fixed instantly because they have the means. So don't be pulled off center through the news narrative. The awakening of the planet is only manifested when you put out your consciousness upon it. If you are waiting for the prices to come down, waiting for your operation, waiting for your relationship to get better, you are not in the moment. The choices for something better are right now. Yes, there's the physicality of having to wait, but that is not our meaning. You must, if you are to become sovereign beings, take time to be present this year and feel into your bodies and slow down a bit. That way you have the time to feel how you actually feel each day. Your feelings are your greatest guide in life. That is what is being gifted to humanity this year. A chance to be present, an opportunity to feel into the Mother Earth and reground yourselves in the ancient ways of channeling light through your bodies, becoming a conduit to the divine expression, to finally transform the heaviness most of you feel within your bodies, to lighten your expression here, to take the blinkers off and emerge as omnipresent beings. The tides on the planet are not reversed by having an emotional or mental experience when you watch your news narrative. They are turned only when you go into self-inquiry. That is what your soul wants from you these next 2 quarters of the year. Get inquisitive and start questioning your own narrative, and you will start to have different feelings about many things in your life. Don't delay. Your hearts are longing for change. Idle minds are what you are experiencing with many of your leaders, and most of them are uninformed human beings that would rather debate than instill action. And it was never meant to be a government that makes the changes. This is a conditioned human belief system. Change on the planet happens when individuals look within themselves. The planet's current system is a direct reflection of human denial. Change isn't happening as it should because human beings have become complacent with themselves, closing down their ideas, just happy to get along. There is a power in all of you that hasn't been felt since you moved into physicality, and it's beckoning you to awaken it. You will see you are a very different person once it emerges. Your ideas of who you are based on a narrative that doesn't serve the human race any longer. Moreover, your place in this grand experience. You are just as equal to all your fellow beings, and your choice to look within is felt through many dimensions, assisting so many other souls. You are all equal to every other being. No one is greater or less than you. Only an ego consciousness would tell you differently. Stop idolizing and look within. You'll be surprised how amazing you actually are. So obviously, again, another message to go into self-inquiry. A lot of the messages are about that because that's how we change. I've been talking about that for years. So really it's just, just sit with those emotions now when they come up, and just take time to take a step back, because you can only feel your soul presence when you're calm and still. Otherwise the mind is running on that, you know, that full control all the time. You know, and I'm seeing this a lot in my clients, you know, even through the teachings as well, just getting people just to sort of quiet down the mind and just take time to feel and just come into that place. So yeah, it's a lot going on, but I will come back again in a couple of weeks, and we'll discuss a bit more, and then hope we'll see what comes through, and then maybe we can talk a bit about what's going on the planet, on the physical side of things as well, because obviously it's driving a lot of fear in people at the moment. But like I said, spirit, I'm more concerned really because we're getting human beings to awaken themselves than being plugged too much into the narrative, because it's all fear-mongering, it's all control, it's illusion, and it's all pulling us off center. Yes, of course, it's real. However, like I said, you know, consciousness has to be grounded on the planet, and we have to be a clear conduit for that, and we have to have our emotional bodies clear, and we have to be grounded. We have to be back as human beings, not trying to ascend to another planet. We have to be here, present, owning our power. And that's how the narrative will change. Good stuff. Anyway, all right, so we'll talk again soon. Nice to be back, and yeah, have a good weekend, and I will see you all soon. Take care.